We are farmers.
I've got probably the biggest collection of those of anybody in the U.S. right now. I think there are probably about 15 of them in my collection. They're up in the library. They're all up in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of these styling models were done after the fact. After the cars were really designed, really to choose paint colors and that type of thing. And they're plaster, hollow plaster. And these models represent Ford Motor Company, Hudson, Packard, and Chrysler, and there's one from Packard, one of the last styling models they had. And as a kid, I was really fascinated when my parents gave me the book, Ford at 50. That had a certain picture in there that showed a lot of these, the different colors and everything. And the one they're standing next to, pointing at, which I'm pointing at right now, just happens to be on the top shelf in my house. And the way this whole group of models got out, they went around to all the designers, modelers, and engineers at the design center and asked them if they wanted one. And they'd put their name next to a numbered model, because they were all kept in one room with a number and everything on them. And that's how they all got out. And at swap meets, antique toy shows, I've been able to pick some up. The Hudson, that was in the president of Hudson's library at his house in Grosse Pointe. And it was given to the Henry Ford Museum, and they didn't want it. And they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to buy it from the museum, and which I did. And the 49 Ford model, I found that on Lil Mac at an antique store down there back in the early 1970s. And those Chrysler models, those half models, I had no idea who built them or what company they were from until I started doing some research, and I found a brochure on Chrysler design, and the Exner, who was the vice president of design at the time, they were in his office in the background. So I was fortunate to get those. And the Packard up there, I found on Michigan Avenue in an antique store, and the guy knew the value and everything, and I went ahead and paid the money because I just wanted it. The orange and white one, which is probably that one.
That's cool.
And then the green, two-tone green one is somewhere here out of the picture. Maybe it's that car. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about
But
15. All these went to different Ford employees.
Okay, so they just dispersed.
Yeah, Ford put this list together and they gave them out to employees because they didn't want to just chop them up and scrap them.
Right.
The Mark II Lincoln Continental, I was at a swap meet and I had that Lincoln there on my table, wanted old styling models. This grumpy guy comes in, says, "You collect those things?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I got one out in my car. Do you want to see it?" I said, "Yeah." He comes in with a paper bag, slams it down on the table, and says, "You want to buy this?" And I said, "Well, give me a price." And I bought it right on the spot. He let his kids play with it. So it's got some chips and everything, but it's a full see-through. Next day I go into Ford and I go up to Gene Bourdonnais, the vice president of Ford Styling. I said, "Gene, I just got a Mark II Lincoln Continental model." He says, "You're pretty lucky. Only Mr. Ford, Bill Ford Sr., has one, and Henry Ford Museum's got one." And because they're all ordered to be scrapped.
Wow.
And somehow, this guy I bought it from, somehow he wound up with one of the models. I've seen a version of this. It was for sale for about $8,000 at Hershey a number of years ago. But I thought it was pretty inflated, But I paid, the one downstairs I paid $1,800 for. Absolutely, they're right on. They're definitely right on. Now, Gordon Buick, who designed the coffin nose cord, he actually designed these, which let's say, like that one. They wanted kind of a futuristic, nondescript model for the paint and color vehicles because they wanted to be able to use it year after year, you know. So they wanted to be ahead of the, you know, design cycle. And I think a lot of them were shipped over to the UK, probably to France, and over to Germany, where we had design centers, plus down to Australia, although they were probably all gone by the time I arrived in those places.